So welcome back to the GLL Nations Royale for EMEA. Here we have Saint again. I'm Hayes. Hello. Yeah, he's changed. I've changed. He's changed. We've all changed.
We swapped around as well, just to confuse everyone on that side. So
we are here. We are live, and we are waiting for the match of Finland and Turkey to start. Now we obviously saw
one.
Yes, we saw Finland just now, kind of have an issue with Germany. It was a slight sort of 3-0 from Germany, and I wonder what they're gonna do here, because now we've seen Turkey in the first stages of this tournament, and they just completely smashed it. They look so strong. They did lose to get down into the lower bracket. They did lose to Czech. So
one of the weirder losses, I think, of this tournament so far. Obviously, Czechia then got beaten by Russia, so we may have a rematch on the cards later on. But I don't know how Turkey or why Turkey lost that, but it's pushed them down to this lower bracket. And now we have a round here where, I mean, this could have been the final, I think.
Yeah, I feel like this could have been definitely the final for sure. But this is how we got to where we are now, I think, right? Yeah. So now we have Finland and Turkey, and then obviously Czech and Denmark. They're playing alongside us because they did win against Greece. So I'm sure.
Toby's gonna be happy with that one.
Yeah, Toby's gonna be pretty ecstatic with that one. But good stuff for them.
Oh, it looks a bit rough with the UK all the way down there, doesn't it?
We don't even mention that anymore. We just kind of
This is where I sneak in the fact that I'm most of my family are from other countries.
No.
I find a way.
Apparently, my last name is Dutch. No, it's Flemish.
Didn't build.
I'm not even going to mention that. Never mind. All right, let's just ignore that fact. But you see, obviously, the players here from Finland and Turkey.
Two really stacked teams.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like historically, through the games we've commentated this time, we've seen one team with a lot of really good players and one team perhaps with a couple amazing players and the rest sort of a bit unknown. Yep. But now we come into this with two teams that it's basically 32 competitive players on either side.
Yeah, essentially, and it's going to be interesting to see where they actually
there's some scouts
where they drop. Yeah, because there's the drops have been sort of kind of weird in these situations. Now, usually, I think we saw it one time where it was where there was I think it was either Germany and Greece that sort of dropped in separate areas, and they just stuck to those areas of west versus east sort of thing. And I think that worked out pretty well, to be honest with you.
Well, we saw both of them sort of get a really lucky shift. We had a really hard west and a really hard east, and each time there was that sort of that was the attack versus defense on that. But we also saw last night in the NA portion where the USA team, they dropped in Georgopol and Milta, and we had a really hard west circle, and they used that sort of, I think it was like an 8-man group in George to take a bit of map control. And it looks like Finland sort of go for the same sort of thing where they have taken both sides to try and prevent that big shift that we also saw quite a lot today.
That is true, yeah. And the circle is pop. It is fairly central, just north of where Rozoc is.
And fairly Finnish.
Yes, fairly Finnish indeed. There's only a few Turkish players actually inside, Iro being one of them on the west there. But yeah, it is a fairly blue kind of sort of congregation in the south central side of it.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of the Turkish players sort of go around the north side of the river, particularly that South George group, where they'll all just start flooding in, sort of right in the middle of the map, because then we might get a sort of which side of the circle, which side of the river does it go, that sort of gives the advantage to one team.
That is true, yeah. Obviously, we're not quite sure where the circle's going to go on each side of the river. So obviously, south or north, it just honestly depends. So we'll have to wait and see.
I'm feeling a north one right here.
You think? I mean, I think it looks like there's a majority landmass on north, right? But
yeah, it's pretty much dead 50-50. Yeah.
yeah.
Because obviously it curves up.
True. So it's gonna be a tough one to really predict, I'd say. But I think if you want information, you go for north side anyway, right? Because you can
we've seen High Ground been really successful so far in this tournament, and I wouldn't be surprised if Finland try and send some players north, because the problem will come where if they give the whole north to Turkey and then it does shift north, that they're going to be in such a rough position. So maybe a couple of those Rostock players will be sent to at least secure some of the bridges.
That is true. Yeah, I think what they could do is possibly sort of split between the two, put half and half, and then kind of just put enough pressure on the Turkish players to the point where they can't really make a concerted full 32-man push onto one of the half groups there. So I think if they put enough pressure on, they should really prevent the push from happening, and then wait for the second circle. Well, I mean, or the third, depends on where the second goes actually.
We have this bit of a weird dynamic where the sort of the southern group of the Turkish players are completely cut off from the rest. Like, there's no way they can cross any of these ridges and join up with the other side. But in the same fashion, the western Finnish players are also completely cut off from the rest of the Finns. So I want to see one of these teams, or maybe both, try and use that to manipulate a early player advantage. Because if they can group up and take out that group, then A, they open up a lot of the map, and B, they should come in with like a 6, maybe 7 player advantage.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's I think what we've seen from Turkey previously is that they like to use distractions, and they like to have a flanking group of players that will just pull away a lot of the main pack, and then they push in from a different angle and completely sort of sandwich and bombard them. And it does work out really well. We've seen it work out where I think they won 6 maps in a row or something, where they just did that for most of it, and it was really impressive to watch sort of the communication and the teamwork come into effect.
And I wonder if maybe that's the role of BSD and Hurth on the northeastern side. If they can sort of feign that there's a significant Turkish group on this eastern side, they can maybe pull off some of those Finnish players that would otherwise maybe cross the bridges.
Yep, 100%. But you see some of the Finnish players from the eastern side pulling over and coming towards the center side of the circle. Same with the players from Gatka. They're moving through the ruins fields, and none of the Turkish players have really moved.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bit of a missed opportunity there, where those Pachinki players could have taken over the highway just north of it, and sort of completely prevented any of those players from getting into the zone. But instead, the Finns are finding their way to a big group, which may come in really handy when these Turkish players are still split up. Because I expect that group will stay on the south side of the circle. There's an opportunity where they can sort of spring an assault onto one of those sides, and it's essentially could be 32v16.
Yeah, exactly, and I mean, you are right in the fact that I'm quite surprised that the Pachinki group hasn't actually spread across the highway. Let's call the highway sort of just north of where it is, where there's like a sort of a little forest. Oh, this is a pull up. Here we go. Oh my lord, he runs over 2. Okay, there we go, and they both. I mean, they all go down. That's Mikaz and Co flushing out the players from. But
the car's stuck. I don't think they can get it out.
Yeah, okay.
Just about.
Okay.
Almost got it stuck.
Wow.
That bike was so close to blowing up underneath them as well.
Yeah, is that three Turkish players down already? So
3-player advantage, and obviously there was no trade at all. So a bit of an advantage early on. I think we've seen quite consistently where this sort of game mode is all about snowballing. You get that early advantage, and then you turn it into a bigger one, and then it becomes too big to sort of bring back. And that 3-player, while it doesn't look massive, the grand scheme of things, it's less than 10% of the team. It still means that if they do come into a big gunfight, they have that weapon advantage.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that. The fact that it is like a snowball effect where you can kind of sort of keep it going once you get that small little advantage.
Yeah, but at this point, if you just 1-for-1 trade on every kill, you're going to win the game.
Yeah, so, exactly. Just gotta.
I'm curious what this western group, the southwestern group of Turkish players are doing. They're sort of getting stuck in with the rotating Finnish players, but they run the risk of getting trapped between a rock and a Finnish place if they're not careful. Ooh, yeah. That's a northern shift. But as we were talking about, the Finnish players have already made their way over the bridge and prevented that sort of lockout by the Turkish players. And now there's an opportunity for the Finns to take full control of the circle.
Yeah, exactly. You see the Finnish players; they're already sort of northern side of the river, and now it looks like they're trying to make their way over to sort of commit to that side. And still, I mean, there's a lot of Turkish players on the southern side that haven't even gotten anywhere near.
And I don't really know where they're going to go. I expect maybe they're going to come south of Yasnaya onto those hills, but then as soon as the circle goes the other side of the water, you're in a really tough spot. So I want to see. I suppose maybe they'll go all the way around. If they can get around Yasnaya and come up on the north and group up sort of the BSD and Sixmo, then maybe they can sort of split the circle in half. We've got a bit of a crash going on here. Nuki gets Ira down, flushes him as well. And there's no sort of trade coming in, as Ira won't be able to get the flush into Tavu to at least make it a 1-for-1. So now a 5-player advantage, and I would say without a doubt their best player on Turkey going down pretty early.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of shots on the northern side as well. There's just lots of sort of trades of shots. Kushika goes down there. Oh, that was on the northern side. He was trying to, I think he was trying to scout out. You see the little Finnish flag in the distance there. He was trying to scout out further and got punished for it. So that's him down already. And you can see the sort of the concentration of Finnish players on the, I guess towards the road, just kind of centered in a sense, and they're not really spreading out that much. I feel like they should spread out more towards the west as well.
Yeah, but the good thing that they have is that there's not really any opportunity for those Turkish players to the north of them to do anything, because I think they know that there's that sort of southeastern group, so they know that they need to sort of retain control of all those bridges and stack it quite heavily.
Yeah.
But it looks like the Turkish players are looking for a way around Yasnaya, but it might be a bit too late, as it looks like a bit of aggression is coming on the northern group.
Yeah. Finnish players are pushing up, and I mean, you see the circle shift. That is a blue circle right there. That's all the way over towards the west, just where some of the Finnish players are also coming in. So, I mean, in a matter of seconds, there's going to be only one player that's outside the circle, and he's up on the northeastern side. Yeah,
the big problem here is that there's no real opportunity for the Turkish team to do anything until the rest of them on the eastern side group up. So, although we do have this little stack of the DA players trying to get up that hill, they're going to be at such a disadvantage as they fight basically like 8 to 20.
Yeah, exactly. See the Turkish players kind of pushing in towards this ridge line here. It's not a bad ridge, to be fair, but then I think the players further sort of north. Is that north? Yeah, well, I mean, I guess west is right. You see Beautiful Death and co pushing up and around here. Mika's taking some shots. Diggory, the newer Ents player coming in, he's taking down one.
And this was where just that initial push across the bridge from the Finnish players meant that they had complete control of this hill. Now they've got the shift. There's no real way for the Turkish players to get on. They need to find a sort of weak point in the Finnish line and just crash it with a full group. Otherwise, I don't really see a way that the Turkish team can win this.
No, I don't think there's much they can really do about this. I mean, they are down by 5 already in terms of numbers, just pure numbers. You see Nuavi just on the northeastern side. He's proning out. I don't know. I think Rip knows he's there. It looks like he's looking for him, or scouting out just further south.
I think he's just having a look around because Nuavi's been prone there for 10 minutes now at least.
Yeah, he hasn't done much. In terms of cutting off the rotations, that's what I would love to have seen him do. Was possibly just like try and get like 2 kills out the cars from on.
I mean, there's a potential that he could ambush Rip here. If he stands up, he's going to have an angle on Rip, but it doesn't look like he's going to do it for now. But it doesn't really matter in the end because I mean there is so much control by the Finnish team. He's actually going to go for it eventually. He stands up. Can he get Rip down? Not quite for now. And Rip actually smashed it, saves his teammate. And Nuavi goes down. It's still a 5-player advantage, but 5's lower than 6.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you look at the blue spread across the center of the circle, and I mean it just gets even better for Finland as they have full control pretty much of the center of the circle. And there's, I mean, from that line, there's just like a downhill slope all the way towards the road, and
none of it's playable because of that group in the gas station. They have complete line of sight on that ridge. So I think maybe the only opportunity is if like 10 or 15 of these Turkish players maybe crash the gas station, or try and come around maybe on the southeast. But I really don't see how that can happen.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the gas station players are actually leaving it, so the gas station will be free to take, and if they do take that could cause some issues if they try and cross over towards the bottom side of the hill and make a push up. But I mean, still, even so, the Finnish players are still at an advantage, so it doesn't really matter with the high ground.
The Turkish players need to do something special here. I think this is a great example of where the initial player advantage has enabled them to snowball, because they were able to take more map control, able to take over basically the entire top of this hill, and we just see a bit of a shooting gallery as all of these Finnish players are just raining fire.
Yeah, lots of TPUs across the map here.
Proper Star Wars style.
Yeah, it's quite cool to see actually. To be fair,
and that's not what you want to see.
No, yeah.
Turk on Turk.
Marco, hello. You gotta watch out for the driving. I don't know. I mean,
just coming in.
Does he have a license? I don't know about that one.
I mean, to be fair, I don't, and I drive in PUBG all the time. Although I am partial to a good run over.
Yeah, unless it's like another player, then that's fine. But if it's if it's a teammate, then I don't know. I'm not sure about that one.
It depends what they've done to me.
Yeah, that's true. I was gonna say.
If they stole my crate.
Oof. Well, that's
accidentally run them over and accidentally flushed them. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Look, they are pushing up towards the gas station here. You can see they've taken that for free essentially because they backed off from it. So they do get some sort of real estate and some sort of ground, but at the same time, it's kind of, there's not really much to it, really. You don't get much from it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, some real estate's better than none, but when you're trying to put 20 Turkish players in one house, it's going to get a little bit congested.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're all focusing on that one gas station. I don't know about that one. I mean, I'm not sure.
I don't really think they have another option, bar maybe a crash on the west. I mean, we do see that the finish line is a little bit weak on the west. Obviously, the Turkish players can't know that, but if a crash does come out and it happens there, then maybe.
All right, I think
they can find a way through.
What needs to happen is I think okay. So yeah, what they're doing now is they're pushing up towards close towards the hill in the center. But this is actually kind of key because they've shifted over a lot of the Finnish players towards the south, and now they're making a move sort of on the north western side, which could work out really well if they take this fight and they take it cleanly. Then this could essentially create a concave effect of just pure destruction from.
They've got
Turkey.
2 down already, and they need to just keep making this push. They can't delay because all these players on the eastern side are just going to push over. But that circle, I mean, it's looking quite good for Turkey now. It's shifted back towards their players, and if they can get control of this part of the hill, they can lock the Finnish lineup out of the circle. But some trades coming in that are not necessarily looking favourable for the Turks for now.
Yeah, no, for sure. Muki gets a few. Does get trade on those. 6-mo with that one. Mini, he spots out a lot of players there in the little dip.
There's almost too many people to shoot at.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't want to take too many. Well, I mean, he doesn't want to take his shots just now because he knows that he's kind of in a sort of a spot where they don't really know where he is. But it looks like he's actually got knocked
down. Yeah, I think BSD called it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Right he was right next to them. He called that out to Mert, who's done some work, got a couple knocks there. And I mean, we said that it was really favourable to the Finnish team, but now a lot of that the circle is being controlled by Turkey. I mean, they still don't have the high ground, which means that they're very prone to getting knocked and flushed out by any Finnish players. But if Turkey can take control of sort of just below the ridge, then as long as these angles on the side don't come into effect too much, then maybe they can still win this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if Finland can take control of the ridge and essentially just bully them off of it, then there's just a massive open piece of ground there, and there's a lot of Turks on that sort of that open side, and it's going to be so hard for them to even make anything or get anything done, really. But nonetheless, he's trying to do something at least. He has to heal up and back off, but still, I mean, Turkey's on the back foot again.
Yeah, the kill feed looks fairly even, but given the fact that Finland already had that sort of 5-6 player advantage, that's not good enough for the Turkish lineup. They need to start finding an engagement that they can isolate from the rest of the Finnish lineup, and maybe if they could take out the Western group, then there's a way they could win this. Genzo's trying to make a play here, gets to the first down, and I mean, there's definitely more of a concentration onto the east for the Finnish lineup. So if the Turkish players can lock them down and start to make a push, and it actually looks like that's what's happening. There's like 3 or 4 players that got knocked in quick succession there.
That's a lot of knocks on the.
That's a lot of Turkish knocks
from the Turkish side, and Finland. I mean, still they're not quite on the back foot, but they need to flush those knocks out so they can actually progress and get those numbers down. And I guess deny the res because I'm pretty sure the reses are faster in this game mode, right? They're
I'm not 100% sure
a lot faster than
than
they usually are, but I don't think it's the full. Was it like 10 seconds? Is it so?
And I think that shift is exactly what we want to see from a neutral perspective. Yeah. The team at the advantage with the 8 kills ahead, well, make it 7 now. But obviously Finland are ahead, but now they need to make a push onto the Turkish team who've got the shift, so they need to try and find a way down the hill now. But Vasquez's off.
Yeah.
On the northern side, can he make a play?
Yeah, he's kind of centered towards the northeastern side there, and he's on his own. Looks like 2U who's coming to help somewhat, but if anyone can do it, it's Vasquez, and
if we can hop over to that'd be brilliant.
Yeah. Exactly.
I really want to see what he can do on the northern edge there.
But lots of movement coming in. Pro player as well in his buggy there. Looks like they're trying to crash this single
Vasquez gets one.
Yellow house. Yeah.
I think it's working. They've started to sort of lock down this northern side, and now they're just completely trapping the Turkish lineup. And there's knocks all over the place.
It's a full white and blue here in the kill feed
as well.
There's
run 2 people over.
Oh my lord! Absolute massacre.
Yeah, that push by the Finnish team all the way around the side just basically got rid of all that cover for the Turkish lineup. They just started shooting them in the back. Absolutely nothing they could do. And now 23-5. Vasquez firing the victory flare. Yeah. There we go. Finnish win.
That's impressive stuff. 23 players still alive. They did have a sort of majority of control of the circle for quite some time when the circle shifted sort of, I guess I want to say sort of, I mean, it went north over the river and still, I mean, Finland had control of both sides.
It was that high ground that really put them in a big advantage. And the fact that they got that initial player advantage meant that even when Turkey got the shift, it was still maybe a little bit too much for the Turkish team to do.
Yeah, and it was that sort of that information of just from the high point, they just kind of had the information to make the move where you saw Vasco and Yuho kind of push around this eastern to northeastern side and just essentially cancel out any cover they even had on that northern side. It was a really good move, really heads up play.
Whoops, quite a nice little nade there. Look, it got 2 down. But it was all about that push at the end there. It was sort of even until that happened. There was a bit of a push coming down the hill. We saw the Finn stack moving down, but it was sort of a 50-50 of whether the Turkish players could hold. And then as soon as we saw like 4 or 5 players come around the northern side, it was just a slaughter.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it for game 1. Turkey versus Finland, and Finland come out on top in this one. But we'll see what the next one coming up real soon after this 5-minute break. So Finland and Turkey, and Finland came out on top. And that was an impressive performance by Finland. The fact that they just moved around and kind of outmaneuvered them and just completely annihilated them in the end there. Solid stuff. But I'm surprised Turkey, they're not really showing what they showed in the previous sort of games that we saw, where they went like 6-0 and kind of smashed it in the start.
I mean, they were the team for outplaying the first 2 games we watched, and now they. I mean, I don't know if they really did anything wrong per se. I think it was more that Finland did things right.
Yeah.
We saw obviously that group in Royale. The first thing they did was cross the river, and we were sort of worrying that maybe Turkey could take full control of the northern side, but the Finnish team were like, "Nah, we'll take it for you."
Nah, yeah.
And they just took complete control of all the sort of the power positions on the map, and from there, when that circle did go north, they were at the advantage.
Yeah, exactly. And they I mean, it's just like they kind of pushed around and even when the circle wasn't really in their favor, they still just went for it and just pushed out and took control, and it was quite impressive to see. So fair enough. But this is just the kill leaderboard for each individual player on each team. As you see, obviously Finland up on top there with a lot more than Turkey, clearly, as they did win the game. So Vise up on top though as well, and obviously the Ents players. Ents Diggory is obviously the new member of the lineup there, as well as I don't think is Tixu in this. I don't think I see Tixu here, but he is obviously the new Ents player as well. So it's cool to see him up there, sort of showing off a bit. Not that, I mean, it's not much to show off really. Like it's
flexing his Ents tag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's nice that he's quickly switched that. But
I think it's worth pointing out that although Vasco didn't have many kills, he had it too. That push that he did with, I think it was with Misa on the northern side, was instrumental to their eventual winning.
Yeah.
Like it was really even until that happened, and that push was literally perfect. I think. Just completely wiped out any cover Turkey had, and we are going to go back to the same map, but I believe it's Erangel 2 now, or is it Erangel Classic?
It's Erangel Classic.
I think we just had to.
Yeah, if we look at the north of Mansion, there's no thing there. That's what I was looking for. But yeah, Erangel Classic, they're up and away, and Turkey's out first.
Well, second map on the first Erangel. It's just to confuse us.
Was that on the first Erangel? Hold on.
No. Second map is on the first Erangel.
Okay, yeah. Right, okay, yeah.
Bamboozling.
I blame Finland. I think actually Finland they picked it first. I think as well.
Yeah. But we see the west-east drop coming in this time. The Finnish players decided they don't want to go towards like the quarry area, and now I'm thinking if a western circle comes in, then maybe that's Turkey's opportunity to to bring it back. And also, if a milli circle happens, there's no control by that Finnish roster.
Except for Muke again. I think, is that Muke? He's
I see an E and I see 3 Ks. So yeah.
Muke again. He's going for the sort of the play we saw. Yeah, I mean we saw it against Germany, and he did. I mean, he didn't do anything really in Yasnaya when he did this kind of play. But yeah,
we still haven't had a milli circle.
We did when it was Finland Turkey.
Oh yeah, admittedly I wasn't watching.
But it was sort of like Novo, like right onto Novo. So that was.
I've still not had a milli circle. There we go.
There we go.
That was correct. I've not seen one, but there was one. Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking there's more of an opportunity for Turkey to take control of the northern side now, because last game they only had 2 players, and they've got a bit more presence up there as well. If I can count 8. I hope, 8 up on the northern side. So they can at least take control, not necessarily of Stauber, maybe that warehouse south of Stauber would be a good starting point, and at least sort of deny Finland's ability to wrap around the lake.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's definitely a lot more kind of control from Turkey up on the north side. But then again, Finland does have control of Yasnaya and sort of the surrounding cities. Anyway, so I think they're closer in terms of majority compared to Turkey.
I mean, it is one of those where if they can get across and take any control north of the river or north of the lake, then they're at a big advantage in terms of how much they control. But at least this time, Turkey will have the high ground compared to Finland. So if we do see it sort of go anywhere towards Stauber, you have to think that as long as the Turkish players can wrap around there, that they're going to be at an advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you think so at least. But you can see just Finland looting up Yasnaya. They're chilling. I mean, they've got pretty much centre circle. It's so close. They don't have to move too early. They can loot up as much as they really want. These settings do have increased loot and slightly different circle settings to the super settings. There is no land ratio really, and it's this first circle that was like a combination of the 2 words there. This first circle is a lot smaller than what we're used to in the super settings as well. So a bit different to what these players are generally used to.
Yeah, I like that because it speeds it up. We see in squads that we need a bit of a slow early game to let people get into position and stuff. But in this, when you only have 2 teams, you don't need that sort of 10-15 minute early game where everyone sort of takes their position and that sort of calm before the storm. And how we have the quick circles, I really like how quickly we get into the action.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah. I think generally, we had like a 9.5 minute game the other day.
In the USA, I think it wasn't it? The second game, USA versus Canada.
Yeah, that was
9 minutes long,
mega quick. I think we've seen. I think the maximum sort of time must have been about 15 minutes, something like that. Like
I think we had one that sort of got towards 20. I want to say on Vikendi.
Could be right. Yeah,
I think it was one of the Turkish games on Vikendi. They had because Pladric was like keeping everyone busy for so long, and then there was just one really quick engagement at the end. But because in a bit of a rough spot there, he's been spotted, and he should be going down here. So willing to land his shots. There you go. I don't really understand why he was on mini on his own.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going for the same play in terms of what he was doing on Yasnaya.
I just don't understand why did either of them, if I'm honest. But
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. He did get a knock in Yasnaya when he went there.
Yeah,
but didn't get any kills.
He needs to if you're going to do that, you need to at least get a 2-for-1 trade. At least make it worthwhile because you're. Otherwise, I mean, here now they've handed, although it's only 1 kill advantage. As we've said last game, it's all about snowballing in this, and even 1 kill can start that sort of climb towards the victory for Turkey.
Yep. Now one player needs to get 2 kills essentially to sort of give it a kind of balance.
I like this movement by Finland. We spoke about how Turkey should have the high ground, but they've sent up players very quickly from Yasnaya, Finland, to take control of the warehouse, and it looks like maybe they're going to send some around the east as well, and take control at least of sort of the middle of the hill. They've had to give up the peak towards Turkey, but they do have a lot of map control now because of that movement by Tuho Juho and is that Tebo Benani?
Yeah, for sure. That's it makes sense because there's lots of information you can get from that warehouse plateau area, and I think it's a solid spot to to kind of play from in a sense. I mean, you have access to the hill as well. Whereas if you held up in Yasnaya, then you'd have to make your way up to the hill, and it makes it so much more difficult when there's an opposing team in that spot on that plateau there. So
that's 2 warms, isn't that great?
I think I think it was.
That is juicy.
Absolutely madness. Absolute madness. That's the words. There we go. Words.
We've not been sleepy enough, clearly.
Yeah. I mean, I've been having 7 hours. It's not too bad.
It's better than 6, I suppose.
Yeah. Stats wise, that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, statistically speaking, 7 bigger than 6.
Yes, but Turkey, they're making their way around. Obviously, there was a lot of the Turkish players kind of in and around military base, Pachinki side, and all that stuff. So on the southwest, and they're slowly making their way in, taking a bit of blue damage. The cycle does shift very central. Just kind of splitting between Yaz and where I guess Stalba in a sense, yeah.
Yeah, this is where that movement up to the warehouse is really coming to advantage for Finland, because if Turkey had control of that, they'd have control of the majority of the circle, and they'd be able to deny a lot of area and a lot of vision from the Finnish team. But now that movement up, as long as they can keep control of it, it should come into play later on and maybe hand Finland a slight advantage.
But I feel like if Turkey actually try and make a move on that warehouse, there is no real support there. Like, no one can really come up and help that easily.
But they have stacked it up. There's like nearly 10 players there now, so it will come at a cost, that sort of crash. If the Finnish players can get the right nades off, can at least get like 2-for-1 trades consistently, and even if they lose the control of it, it actually looks like they're going to put like 15, maybe even 20 players towards it.
Yeah. There's a lot of players heading towards that, so maybe not. I was thinking, when the circle shifted, that would have been an option, but now
because of that massive Western group of the Turkish players, there was no real opportunity to make that crash. Yeah, and now, now it's too late.
Yeah, way too late. But again, I mean, there is a potential for Turkey to kind of sandwich them in a sense, and sandwich, kind of focus off that group of players in that warehouse, and they are so sort of concentrated on the sort of the cliff sides and around the edges of the warehouse, but there's not any real cover for the northern side. If they get shot from the northern side, if the Turkish players come in from the east, and they get a few surprise knocks, and then focus shifts somewhere else, then they push in from a different side from the east. From the west, it's going to be such a cluster, and the players in Yasnaya can't really help unless they just completely send it up to the cliffs.
Yeah, Huth's carrying a massive flank on the east.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
On his own.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wide flank, to be fair.
Well, that's wow. I like this because it doesn't really favour anyone. I mean, both teams have decent control of the circle. Obviously, Turkey has the high ground that we've so consistently said is preferable, but the fact that there's this big Finnish group in the warehouse, and also this southern group that potentially could move through the forest later on, it's definitely all to play for in this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it looks like, I would say, sort of meter for meter, the sort of the ground control, I think, is mostly held by Turkey in a sense.
You're probably looking at this, and I would say it's like a 60-40 in favour of Turkey in terms of percentage chance of winning. It's Finland are a slight disadvantage, being down the hill, being stuck sort of in the warehouse area,
and down from one player again, as we as we saw with dying.
This is Turkey's game to lose, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense. Hueth, he's coming back over. He's scattered up the side, I guess the eastern side of that hill, and realised that there's no real entry point. There's no real way of getting around it. Someone did get knocked. That was Genzo from Turbo Banani. Is that a long? It must be a pretty long shot. Actually, no, it's not too bad.
Actually, I think the two closest players on the map.
You're right. I was looking sort of from.
They're going to get the flash in.
Clips.
I mean, they're denying the movement towards the res. So if Turbo Banani can keep pressure on that, then I think maybe they'll bring the gap down to 0.
Ooh, nice shot.
There's a flush. Yeah,
there we go. Manzi gets him. So that does even the scores up, 31-31. No sort of favourable scores here, and Turkey does have control of that Yasnaya. I want to call it like a pond or a lake just north of that. Anyway, so they have that kind of cut, but it's downhill. It's not a great spot to really be when you see the majority of the Finnish players now on the side of Stalba Hill. kind of spread around it. But you see the movement from Turkey on the northern side. They're kind of trying to sandwich in slightly and trying to surround them somewhat.
Yeah, the only advantage that it really gives is it denies the Finnish flank, really. There's no opportunity for a small group of Finnish players to sneak around the south of the Turkish front line. But now I expect we'll see them group up, particularly on the southern hills, and sort of try and just take control of that high ridge and just deny any movement from the Finnish team.
Yeah, one player does go into the circle as well. So, I mean, I guess that gives Finland another sort of advantage there. But knocks coming in, just a few knocks here and there. But nothing really too of substance, I'd say. But the circle has shifted, I guess, pretty much straight north in a sense. And again, I mean, you see this Turkish line across the sort of the middle of the circle, and you'd expect that the other players on the western side had to come over and sort of fill in the gaps.
Yeah, now this brings me back to the games they had when we saw them get those 2 3-0s in a row. The one thing they did really successfully was they created this front line. And they just denied any way through it. They sort of basically made an impenetrable wall. And both teams that they faced, I can't remember off the top of my head who they were now, Serbia and someone else, Serbia and Hungary.
That's right.
But neither team found a way through. But you have to say that the individual skill on Finland is much better than those two teams, and maybe that's the win condition to get through this line.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a hell of a load of strong players on this Finnish lineup, as well as on the Turkish lineup. To be fair, so. I still feel like there's a slight advantage going to Finland in terms of their player strength, but Mikaz is getting pretty close to Hewitt. I think Finland wants to flush out these players.
And they've seen
on the
Iro
eastern side.
in his vehicle there. He's getting lit up by about
no.
8 people, and he went down early last game. He might go down early again.
Yeah, we'll have to see what that Hewitt. He's in a whole lot of trouble here. I think he's pretty much surrounded. He hears a lot of footsteps, and if he can just get one knock and a flash, then that might be okay. Still not great,
but that's the minimum he needs to get.
Exactly. Yeah. Otherwise, he's pretty much giving over.
I don't think they actually know where he is. I think they were shooting towards Iro, so maybe there's an opportunity for him to get a bit of a drop on, as we see Iro does go down.
Yeah,
I don't think they know he's there. So if he can survive maybe a little bit longer,
okay.
This might be good.
I like the idea of like throwing a nade.
It just goes too far.
Yeah.
Now they know he's there.
Yeah, they know that someone's close. That's for sure. Yupazik, Mikaz.
I like the attempt,
out.
but the execution wasn't quite there. Yupazik does get the knock, and we see a lot of Finnish knocks in the kill feed now.
Yeah, that's on the northern side actually, towards the Stauber dirt road, coming south of it, and it looks like there's a whole concentration of Turkish players focusing on that northern side there. So this could actually split off the Turkish group and could cause some issues for them.
Yeah, the Finnish spearheads trying to find a way through the line, but now the entire Turkish team is congregating on that point, trying to deny any of the high ground to the Ents team, to the Finnish team rather. But Finland is getting the kills, and now we're looking at a 7-player advantage in their favour. I think make that 8 in a second as Bukai goes down.
Yeah, fake gods as well. He goes down too, and I mean, he did get up before that as well, so not too bad. But yeah, it's just such a massive concentration of players on this northern Stauber area.
And I want to see the rest of the Turkish team come up here, because they need to win this gunfight. We see now 9 in favour, make it 10, and it's starting to snowball for Finland. At some point, it's just become unassailable for the Turkish lineup.
Yeah, for sure.
Randomly shooting.
Yeah, he's just trying to put pressure and, I don't know, just do
Scare
something
people.
just to help out his team somewhat, Maybe he doesn't feel like it's helping too much, so he just, he throws some bullets their way. It's still knocks go back and forth. Nothing really of substance, but at the same time, I mean, Turkey is I mean,
they're in a hole.
Yeah, they're in a hole, and they're trying to claw their way out.
But they're it looks like at the minute they're clawing the wrong way. They've sort of been forced back and forced down now, as the Finnish players have got complete control of the peak bar at some tiny points. But Rip's actually trying to do some work. He gets the knock, but he does get traded.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing they can't do now, go down 1 for 1. Because the Finnish team has 12-player advantage now.
Yeah, it's just an absolute sort of landslide, it seems, up north. And there's a few players sort of fighting their individual fights on the southern side, but looks like Finland have won out most of those fights, it seems, just as a 1v1. And now it's just 10 players remaining. I think a few knocks as well on the Turkish side. There we go. 10,000 days goes down as well, and 25 to 10 so far. I mean, you could probably make that about 7 or whatever.
There's a lot of knocks on that Turkish team now. The kill feed is just all blue and white.
Yeah, it's looking super tough. I'm not sure exactly what Turkey can really do now. I think it's pretty much out of their hands. 4 players remaining. I think there's only probably, I mean, if you look at the map here, I mean, there's probably only 1 player. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Literally one.
Literally 1 player now alive.
3MP is lined out. The 1v24. We almost saw Drazzle pull off a 1v29 last night without shooting anyone.
Yeah. I mean, he gets... Oh,
he gets 2. It's on. It's on. He gets 3. Go on.
Here we go.
Greatest clutch in history. Oh no, they're going to run him over.
Oh, okay.
Mikaz gets the final kill with the, I think it was with a bike.
Yeah.
And 23-0 towards Finland. And even, I think, slightly more in their favour than last game. But I love that push up the hill.
Yeah, that was super good. It's just the push up towards the what'd you say, the dirt road. That's the one.
Yeah.
The word escaped my mind, but yeah, the dirt road up sort of south of Stauber. Kind of that was kind of the focus point, and then they just won their fight. They just won their individual fights and traded sort of 1 for 2, and that's how you do it essentially.
Yeah, I said it was a tactic we've seen Turkey employ successfully in the past, where they create this line. But I think Finland recognised that the line was slightly weak on the top side. There was a lot of focus on the south for the Finnish for the Turkish team, perhaps expecting a push, and Finland were able to exploit that and able to just start snowballing.
Yeah, I think it was also because there was a few like I think maybe 1 or 2 players. I think it was Ira and a few others on the eastern side of that kind of spread. And I think Finland focused that, and they realized, let's just push up and around this way, and then it became just like, we'll just keep going, we'll just run.
Yeah, they got a couple, and then they were like, let's have a couple more.
Yeah,
let's have a couple more, and they just kept going like that, on and on and on, and they just worked their way through that Turkish team.
Yeah, exactly. But Finland come out on top again, and that's 2 wins for them now. We'll see if they can close it out, or can Turkey come back and possibly win out in the next few maps. We'll have to see after this small little break.
Welcome back, guys. We could be in now for the final game of, well, not the whole tournament, because we've still got the grand finales yet to come, but should Finland be able to get home 1 more win here, that would essentially be Turkey out of the equation.
Yeah, and I thought it would be really close tonight. I thought we were looking for, maybe even all the way to the 5th map, like we saw with, I think it was Finland and Germany, right?
Still could be.
But yeah, I don't really see it. Just based on those first 2 games, Finland has been dominant, and they've not even got the circles. We saw sometimes when we've had dominant games, it was because one team got a little bit lucky. But this one, like, Finland did not have the circle, and they just found that chink in the armor, pushed straight into it, and just absolutely destroyed the Turkish roster.
So the question here is, what is it that Finland is doing good now that they weren't able to do against Germany? Because they got 3-0'd by Germany in situations where, honestly, they probably had worse circles than what they've had here. And I mean, what is it? Is it because they're up against a different team? Like, is it Turkey that is different? The difference, or is it something Finland does different now?
I mean, I'm watching it. I don't think Turkey's done anything wrong. I genuinely just think I feel like it's just Finland winning their gunfights. Yeah. Just every time there's a 1v1 or a 2v1, it's always Finland coming out on top, and potentially it was just the fact that they started losing those gunfights in the earlier games. That meant they were losing.
Speaking of winning gunfights, you can see the scoreboards here. I mean, looking at the numbers for Turkey, as you can see, over half the players have yet to get a single flush. So
that's rough.
Yeah, that is extreme.
I'm looking at that, and all the PEL players actually. Actually, Mert's got 1. I take it back. 4 of the 5 players on that lineup that have played or do play in PEL have yet to get a kill. So I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking that's why Finland are winning at the minute, just because the individual gun skill in Finland is working in their favour this game, but perhaps it just didn't do it at Germany. I wonder if maybe they weren't quite warmed up, and now we see, like, if you look at the left of that leaderboard, I see all events, I see all the M47 players are doing well. I don't think Page is in here, is he? No, he's not. So the N47 player that's in here, and also like all the people that you expect. Oh, no, he's in there. I've seen him now. But I'm blind apparently. But all the players that you expect to do well on Finland are doing well, and all the players on Turkey that you expect to do well are not. And that is why we see it. It's a pretty comfortable 2-0 so far.
That's a good read. I like that. Now we are moving over to Miramar, and well, Finland had a game not too long ago today, actually, against Germany, which was their decider, the game that eventually would kick them down to the lower bracket. And it was a game where, even though the early game was a little against them, the later game circles actually worked in their favor, and they still came up short. So, do they come into it now, Finland, with a different mindset, or do they just say, you know what, 2-0 already, let's just get this over with?
I think you just stick with what's been working now. Yeah, I mean, they've really just been relying on their fights. That's what they've done in both the first two games. If they just keep doing that now, if they just keep trying to take those 1v1s, those 2v2s, and the 3v3s and so on, as long as they're winning them consistently, like they have been doing so far, I just don't see a way that Turkey can turn this around.
True. I think it's interesting that we, up until this, I kind of want to say up until today, for the most part, I've seen teams where they split really far. One goes there's like an unwritten rule that says you go east, we go west, or you go north, we go south. Finland and Turkey, they've been a little all over the place with one another, especially with the drop phases.
Yeah, we saw it last night with USA-Canada, where USA was doing that to prevent the really awkward first circles. And I feel like that's probably what Finland and Turkey are trying to do. And we look at this, and
that's probably
both
the most
teams,
fair play in a circle I've seen.
Both teams can get into this and take control. I expect we'll see Turkey take over the west side. You know, they take over the hills around Los Leones.
Yeah.
And then sort of like straight down from Leones, and then the eastern side, the eastern hills, go in the favor of Finland for now, I expect.
It's the gold rush to the center, and well, I mean, I guess it's all going to come down to who wants it the most, because there is a center to take right now, and I mean, you can see Songa is making his way down the direction, but no one's really hard committing to try and get center over maybe some loot early on.
Yeah, the first two games, we've seen Finland move first. They were always the ones, they got to the middle of the map, and then they went a little bit further and started to encroach on what you might expect is to be Turkish territory. Like on the Stauber game, they went up to the warehouse. On map 1, they pushed across the river. And I wonder if maybe this time they'll try and take over the hill south of Leones and use that as sort of their forward operating base to prevent any map control from Turkey.
Yeah, I think if Finland can make sure that they have Turkey either in or around the western side or inside Los Leones, then I think they're in a very good position. Because not only do they have the high ground over the city, they would also have essentially 75% of the circle or more. So that would be a very good start. But
I didn't see this on the drops, but actually we've got a bit of a contestation going down in Picardo. It looks like it's pretty even number-wise as well. So I wonder if pretty much the winner of this is going to win this map.
Could be. I mean, the thing is, once you lose one, it's so much more than that, because once you lose two players, all of a sudden 4v6 becomes practically not impossible, but it's just so difficult to win those fights. So they have already lost one, Finland. If they lose one more, I do not see the remaining players take out the Turkish force.
Yeah, Min is really separated from the rest of them as well. In the I think he's up in the apartment, and even to Juho and Wilu here on the eastern side, all of them are completely separated from the rest of the roster. And it's all about surviving for them until the group on the north can come join in and create a little bit of a death stack and start clearing out the Turkish players.
I think Mini right now is just buying time. And Willow, I don't think Willow essentially needs to push north around. Willow could potentially could probably hold an angle and try and help out the teammates. But of course, as we can see, they're essentially fighting for dead space. So they would probably want to try and disengage somehow now that they have the northeastern side of the city kind of to their availability. It's just a matter of how the hell did they get out of there.
Yeah, I wonder if we will see the remainders around the boxing ring, if they're just going to hop in cars. Now they're starting to lose players. It's already 2 in the favour of Turkey, and that 2 can quickly turn into 5.
True. I mean, Germany, I'm trying to think if it was Germany who did it or Germany who had it done against them with the clean sweep. I think they were the ones that clean swept and went from a 0-2 to a 3-2, and I think Turkey for sure has the power to be able to do the same thing. And you can see the Finnish players actually starting to try and leave. Some of them are moving up to mountain. To Juho trying to move out east. Well, Sixboy, I don't know if he's chasing Juho or not. What's going on? But I think Turkey, they would really, really want to not have to go over to Sanok and McKendy.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for Turkey to. I think if they win this, they have a really big opportunity to come back, because we saw them. They were so good on Vikendi when they played. They were great on Sanok as well. So I sort of feel like Finland has the 3-0. Otherwise, it's all up in the air coming into the final 2 matches.
Sure is. Every single game's a full reset in terms of who has the better odds. And right now, I mean, Finland has taken that eastern side that we expected them to, and it seems like they're pushing kind of up towards Los Leones. I just think in general, fighting from the open, when there's 32 on each team, that is extremely dangerous. And I think that might be that had it been a squad scenario, those hills are good. But if you get pinned up there, that's a lot of guns pointing your direction.
Yeah, I think in this, I would favour the south rather than the north. It looks like Finland wants to take control of the north edge of Leones, and I'm not a fan. I want to see them go on the south side. I want to see them lock Turkey into Los Leones and onto that southern coast, because then as soon as the circle shifts away, there's only so many places the Turkish players can come through, and you can just start essentially camping rotations.
I'm trying to count it up. I think I see 7 or 8 Finnish players that aren't really lined up with the teammates yet. We have Willu trying to make a disengage. We have Jab and Mikas over towards the west. Mikas, the in-game leader, or the team captain, I guess I should say, trying to make a run forward. And then we have Kuhn and Nuki. They should be safe enough. There's plenty of room for them to get down towards their teammates. But the team captain, Mikas, I think they're running for vehicles, but I'm not sure if they're going to find one. Levy now been found. I'm not even sure where exactly that is. It's inside the city.
Yeah, we spoke about how this is all about snowballing, and it's already a 3-player advantage, and it looks like maybe it's going to be 4 soon. Oh, the nade just doesn't land, and the res does come in for now. But Derek's actually going for it, but excuse me? What's gone on there?
What? How is he allowed to do that?
Is he going to get both flushes?
How is he allowed to do that?
Absolutely no idea.
Players, do you have audio on?
I mean, no, because the nade denies audio.
No, but I mean...
So they wouldn't have heard a thing. It actually worked out beautifully.
Also, whoever's knocked there, I think it's Levy, he survived, thrown down and whiffed everything while his teammate got run over. The fact that Polidera gets out of this alive, I mean, now he might not, but the fact that he gets those 2 kills essentially for free, that is a big mistake, both by the players who were down there and also the teammates covering from above.
Yeah, I could understand the not realizing it was happening because of the grenade denying the audio, but as soon as you do see that bike right in front of you, the first thing you should be doing is shooting it.
Yeah.
And, I think he was actually healing it. He just kept healing and just hoping for the best.
That is very, very confusing. Impressive by Polidera to not only get the kill but also escape. And now the circle, well, it's continuing down towards Los Leones. It's not guaranteed that it's going to go in there, but
this is where that southern hill that I was talking about is really strong, because you get so much vision over this entire circle, where we see Vasku taking control with the help of Sakura and a few others.
Also, you wanted to see a city ending with platoons.
I would love to see this.
This might be it now.
But the problem is, the one downside to this one is how much control Turkey has. If they could just move to the edge and then it shifts in, then it's going to be a bit of a whitewash.
It's going to be extremely difficult for the Finnish players to move in, that's for sure. Mikas running side by side with Callum, though up north in the blue, actually trying to get away on vehicle. You can see shots being fired towards him. He's going to spin out now as well, presumably in a buggy. Now he's reversing. I'm not sure what's happening up there on the northern side, but Mikas somehow still alive.
No idea. Absolutely no idea, but Mikas somehow still
He's driving backwards still.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe he lost a tire and just decided to just keep rolling.
Maybe, I'm not sure, but he's still driving. It seems like Callum's always given up on it.
Yeah, no clue. Absolutely no clue.
Did
he lose a tire? Yeah, he did lose a tire.
Yeah. With that said, though, when the circle does go south,
Hill.
Looking at the Turkish team, they have 4 players out in the blue too, and that's not just random players either. It's Callum Dor, talented player Gluteny, and Burukai from Footballist, from Footballist. So great players that they would potentially lose to blue, because I only see one of them in vehicles right now. No, Gluteny has one too, but Callum Dor is running.
Yeah, he might be able to get in, but then the circle's going to be closing, and I don't know if he has the meds.
No,
but this circle is.
That's ouch.
This circle is going to make for the next shift is going to be hella messy. Like
the next circle is going to determine the winner, unless if it sends us up.
Yeah, but then we sort of said that last game when the circle shifted towards Stalbert and Turkey were in a really strong position and Finland found a way. This time it's going to be the other way around, I think, with Finland up on the high ground and Turkey having to find a way.
I don't see how Finland can push down from here, but then again, I mean, they
might be able to wrap in the east.
The thing is, they are still 5 players down.
Yeah.
So, and that could actually end up making quite a big difference. You can see Turkey, they're kind of trying to wrap around the western side, and that's, if they are able to take these houses, which you can now see that they have, that actually leaves the Finnish players somewhat exposed. out from that west. So they have to rethink how they're going to play it on that side.
Yeah, Finland needs to find a way to bring back this player advantage soon. And Ubisic sort of had one there, but it looks like he's going to back off and look for a better opportunity.
I think being inside the city on the wrong side of your teamates, once you see one player, you have to take for granted there's at least like 5 or 6 more in the same area, and he just doesn't have the info to take that fight.
But if he can find 2 for 1, 3 for 1, then it doesn't really matter if he dies.
No, true, but I think he's one of those that wants to stay alive, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any player wants to die at any point in the game, even if you do have like 3 or 4 kills already.
The heroic
you always want more. Yeah.
Always good to be the hero of the game. Now, this next circle shift, I would assume, I mean, if it shifts to any edge, then it should determine our winner. I think it's going to be a lot easier for Finland to crash into the city than it would be for Turkey to push up to the hill, but let's wait and see.
Yeah, but then you have to say there's a caveat. The fact that Turkey can come from more angles.
True.
Which sort of denies the cover. And, it's Turkish favoured, but there's still a lot of control for the finish. And if they can move down... If they can move down into the water treatment plant on the south side of Leones,
they're gonna get spam-nated though.
Yeah, but
they have to push further. They need to go to the compounds fast.
Yeah, I think if they can get control of the south and east, then Finland is still in a decent position.
Yeah. Kalimdor does go down to the blue. He was running out there for quite a while, and despite the struggles, not able to make it through. Sunga, across he goes, and as you would expect, most other players will be making their rotations over in this direction as well. They're all trying to come in from the south. Jupsik still up north. Mika's trying to make a run forward. Should be able to get into safety, but he might be out of gas. I don't know. Misa was kind of going in that direction, but now he's turning around again.
I'm surprised the entirety of the Finnish team is coming on the south. I was expecting that they'd try and push onto their water treatment and the south side and take control of both. It looks like they're just going to go for the one. Maybe they can push north from there.
Yeah, they are leaving just a couple of players to show some presence up from the hillside, and I think that's enough to have the Turkish believe that there's more up there.
Yeah, and what it does deny as well is all those Turkish players on the north can't really cross the road.
Exactly.
Can't really come to support their teammates on the south side. So, I mean, I like that, but I'm just sort of worried that if the circle goes anywhere other than central or south, that Turkey's just at a massive advantage.
You would think so, at least. I mean, with this split on the east side, I think what the Finnish are trying to do right now is essentially bring it into 2 separate fights, and it's really going to work out for them because they are outnumbered, and if they can fight half their force at a time with their full force, then they will have 2 fights where they outnumber their opponents.
Yeah, they just started the trap here, but Navik and BSD returned 2 kills.
DPS
this
from
is I think that's either the first or the second DBS kill I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, not even just in competitive, like literally ever seen.
I've seen a couple of them also in competitive play. Almost needing a teammate there. That would have been interesting.
We see that the people on the hill really aren't doing that much. There's relatively few shots coming in.
Yeah.
And now a lot of those Turkish players have been able to move towards this gunfight. And what was sort of a 20 to 10-ish is now about a 20 to 20.
Yeah, it's Rustin might able to cross back down. I think he peeked over into a few more opponents than what he had hoped to. Nate's now coming in from the Turkish players as well. In all fairness, they do have the better position. Turkey is sitting really well in it, and they also have quite a few knocks that we can't really count up on the on this one here as well. Just yet Mocha, level 3 gear, able to get some damage done, but no knocks. 1 nade up in that hole right there would be absolutely crucial.
That would be a
whole
lot.
You can throw it that far.
No, but it definitely looks like Finland has started to get control of the south.
True.
They have a bit of a flank on this dip. It's starting to work out, and the kills are coming back in their favour now. It's only a 2-man disadvantage, but we see a lot of Turkish players in the kill feed at the minute.
Circle is going to pop now as well. Where are we going? It's going to send up somewhat north, so the Finnish will have to push further forward, and they've actually managed to tie things up pretty well here.
Yeah, I mean, this push was like they isolated that group on the south and just took them all out.
Hello, your teammate? Can be hard to keep track of everything going on now. They both go for the rest. Imagine if they'd done that so that if 2 commit to the rest, it takes half the time.
I wonder if...
It doesn't, but imagine, like, it would be kind of cool if you could just have like the Met crew that just sprints around and gets everyone up in like 2 seconds.
Just everyone starts painting themselves with Red Cross and just sprints on the map with stretches.
Need to get like, isn't there a medical helmet skin?
Yeah, there is.
And they're like with the cross on the helmet. Yeah, that could be pretty cool. Now they're crossing. Speaking of crosses, Finland needs to get over across the road, and somehow, despite being down by 7 at one point, they've actually tied things up now.
Yeah, and that's just because there's a big group of Turkish players on the northern side. They're just not doing anything.
Yeah.
And this push came on the south side, and that player advantage that we were talking about was just completely mitigated by the fact that that group is just doing nothing. And we just see the mechanical skill of the Finnish players is starting to get those kills. As they talk about mechanical skill.
Anonymous, he wants to get it. It's already smoking. It should be burning. Now it is, but not able to get the flush in the vehicle. 6 more.
Imagine
the amount of info he can give right now.
The amount of kills he can get as well.
No, he'll get one in the alternate round. But the amount of info he's providing for his team right now, he knows where the entire Finnish team is.
I could see him doing more than you think. Honestly, if they all get into the warehouse and he picks off the stragglers, then there's an opportunity he can get 3 or 4. But Mookie,
oh no, he's been spotted. Wait, is he getting shot at by Finnish player? I think he got shot at by Turkish players. We saw it yesterday too when they were far enough away. You can't really see the logos. That's when they start shooting at the teammates.
It might be too late now. We see so many players getting knocked by the Finns in the kill feed. There's at least one that's going to come in here. 6mo grabs the kill, but now...
That's going to be info from behind. Now they have all the info. They turn around and they see him.
Yeah, they're 1 for 1. Not quite good enough. We see 16 to 13 now. What was a 7-player advantage in Turkey's favour, it's now 3 in this. Make it 4 in Finland's
insane turnaround for the Finnish. 5 players on the hill prevented half the Turkish team to come down and help. They slaughtered the half on the bottom, and now they have a chance to really push into these guys in the middle. Now, if the circle goes northeast, there might still be a chance, but they're already on the wall here. This should be a Finnish win, but it's not over just yet. 1 knock on each side now as well. It should be 13 to 12 at just a moment.
Well, Rip's not actually... Oh, he does get the knock, but he gets traded instantly by Upazic. That is not what Turkey needs right now. And those 1 for 1s, and actually I think the Reds should be able to come in. So a 1 for 0 in Finland's favour, given the fact they already have the advantage, is pretty much perfect.
This is going
that's a Finnish circle.
So I like the fact that Jupik didn't go for their immediate rest, knew there were people around, expected the nades to come in, and now they did. But Misa first knock should be able to get the rest back up real soon. And they're kind of isolated, those 2 players trying to hold off. And this next circle, I mean, if it isn't already a Finnish win, then the next circle should probably guarantee it to be.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the map and it doesn't look that bad for Turkey, but then you look at that entire southern side and it's just completely unplayable.
Yes, there's nothing.
There was nothing you could play there whilst Finland has control of this compound. So all those Turkish players are locked in the construction building.
And Finland has the lower ground, and it's rare that you talk up. It's rare that you talk positive of being on the low ground, but they have so much vision. If they start pushing down towards the western side, they'll be seen by miles away. But the thing is, with this ridge line, they can't see... the Turkish players can't really see them. They don't only see the top of their heads, where these guys can see their entire bodies.
And the big problem as well is that those 2 compounds on the west side, there's a big drop. So there's only really 2 places you can actually run down.
Yeah.
And just the fact that they're getting locked in those positions mean that there's not really much they can do.
Yes, the spot one. Oh, he held the trigger too long. Misa able to turn around and get him. He had the flank on 1. There's 1 more flank coming in here. She created... These guys are behind, and nobody dares shooting. First it was 6mo, now it was Jazz, and now it's She Created as well. We're talking 3 kills here with no punishment.
It's one of those positions where you're thinking, oh yeah, there's 1 guy in front of me, but I can get 2. Or maybe I can get 3, and then you just end up getting nothing.
I am baffled by the fact that they don't shoot just yet.
I understand why they do it, but I also think it's wrong.
I mean, had they been ahead, then sure, but they need these kills. They need to prevent this push across, and right now, She Created is allowing them all to get over there.
Yeah, but now there's this opportunity where if She Created can get on the wall, get to Yoho and Justin down, I suppose they'll get a shot in the back by Kune.
I mean, it's good info to give across, but all your teammates, they're pushing the building of your last players. You need to go out and have an influence on this match. You need to do something, and nothing's being done at all. Pushes coming in, Finland. Oh, 1 HP, but Jupik does go down in the end of it. Actually,
there's a lot of
Turkish knocks coming in now. Yeah, exactly. You can
She Created stabs them in the back. They actually, well, he I think actually got 2.
Yeah.
If they could do more, it's only 10 to 8, and there's the 3 knocks here, so it's actually maybe in the advantage of Turkey.
8, 7, 6, 8.
This is ridiculous.
3 knocks on the other side. She Created by himself. I think it's something along. There's 2 knocks there. There's 3 on the hill.
6.
3 on the hill.
4 versus 6.
Where's the 4th player?
She Created.
Oh yeah, of course. So 3 isolated on the hills against 5, against 4.
There's
only
possibility,
2 left now.
But She Created needs to do something special here, and maybe it's coming in. Holzman gets tagged up. But Pelsic should be able to get the trade. Maybe I don't think they're quite aware.
It's free
Oh,
and
they've
she
seen it
created
now.
left alone against 5 players. Finds one. Now it's all she created by him or herself. Mika's the captain of the team. Can you find the final kill? Yes, he can. Turkey is eliminated and Finland prevails 3-0 shootout.
Yeah, we saw them go. She created, eventually stabbed them in the back, and actually got, I think, 3 out of it. So maybe it almost
was
worked
too
out,
late.
but it was a little bit too late. Yeah, they'd already lost pretty much their entire team. So
What he could have done, and we've seen other teams do this to success before, is I think in that situation they care too much to stay alive.
Yeah.
Poloderok did it perfectly in the Vikendi game against Serbia, I believe it was. He went up as soon as they were in the open, as soon as they crossed over, he started shooting like a madman. He only got 1 knock, I believe, but the entire team for those 2 seconds spun around to look at him. And while they did that, all the teammates from Turkey, from their compound, looked out and caught them all in the open. This one right here was just confusing.
I still don't
just
understand what
straight up
happened.
confusing. But I mean, it was a situation where they caught them in the open. In this situation, because she created waited so long, yes, he got 3 kills, but it also allowed for 5 players of his team to get taken out because he allowed for them all to cross the wall.
Yeah, about half of the Finnish team would have had to turn around there.
You want to blow up the bridge while the opponents are on the bridge, not when they've crossed.
Yeah. I understand the idea, but the execution was very poor.
Exactly.
I think, and that's why we've seen Finland with a hot 3-0, and they didn't really get circles in game 2 or 3.
No.
And they were just able to turn it around by finding that chink in the armor, finding the weak point of the Turkish defense, and exploiting that. And once they once they brought back that player disadvantage, they started to snowball, started to gain momentum, and there was really nothing Turkey could do.
I think one of the key moments to this victory was the fact that they left those 4 or 5. I think it was only 4 players actually up on the hill that they had to begin with, up on the southern side of Las Leones to peek on over. Denmark is currently playing Czechia, and I'm very curious to see who has won that game. Finland has beaten Turkey, and they will go to the lower bracket finals. Hopefully against Denmark. That would be a great fight.
Yeah.
Can't tell who would win it, but that would be a very interesting one for sure. Germany, they're going to go against Russia. That's also going to be a beast of a final. Of course, we'll have to wait for a while to see how that one's going to unfold.
Yeah, I personally make Russia favourites to this event because I mean I look at the team, I look at how many players they have in PEL, how many players they have in contenders. And I'm thinking that team is stacked.
They're strong. There's a lot of good players for sure.
But there is an opportunity. I liked what I saw from Denmark yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, they looked really good. Obviously, we don't know if they beat Czechia, but I expect they probably should.
I think they were ahead 1-0.
Yeah, and
I'm not sure.
I mean, Finland have looked great.
They've 3-1'd Greece. And I thought Greece was going to be a tough opponent for Denmark to beat.
Yeah, we saw Greece on stream, and they were doing work. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they actually lost the game eventually. I think it was to Germany, right? They got the initial 2-0, and they looked great in those 2 maps. They had some rough ones against Germany, but they were still close ones. They just didn't quite go in their favour. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that they were able to beat Greece so easily, I mean, that's a sign that you're a strong team.
Yeah, I mean, we'll... I think Denmark's very similar to what we saw now with Finland. They had games where circles weren't really in their favor, and I think Finland with few, because they were outnumbered.
Yeah.
I mean, so committing,
like 7, I think.
So committing to leaving, like you're already outgunned. So committing to leaving players up on the hills, that is extremely scary. Now let's look here at how it's going to look in the final thing. So what will happen is that later this month we will see Finland play against whoever won between Denmark and Czechia. Czech Republic. It's Czechia.
It used to
in
be
any
a Czech
case, yeah, exactly. And the winner of that game will go against the loser of the Russia versus Germany game, and then they will fight for a spot in the grand finale.
And something worth pointing out is that Russia-Germany match, that's for the money. That's for 3,000 USD, the winner of that game. And I think Finland needs actually, no, we'll have our top 4, won't we? Yeah, so Finland has just secured their place in the top 4, so secured 3,000 USD in
They're
that
all
game.
going to be going to play on the... as far as I know, if it's anything like what we've seen before, we'll have the top 4 teams, top 2 from upper bracket, top 2 from lower bracket, actually have their captains come to Sweden. That's how it's been previously, at least, and fight on LAN. And that's,
it would be sick.
That's very interesting, and that's how it was last time. I'm very sure it's going to be this way again. And then, of course, they're not going to bring the entire 32 players.
Imagine that. Yeah,
I think what they've done before is they've had a couple of team captains that they bring with them, and then they go to play here in LAN. And I am looking. I mean, if it's Denmark, of course, it's going to be even better because it's just I know the guys. That'll be absolutely amazing. But last time it was super hilarious, and I think it's going to be here as well.
Yeah, it'd be sick to see. But yeah, so congratulations to Finland on securing 3,000 USD right there.
That's a pretty good job.
That's a nice chunk of money, but we also there's 14,000 on the line for the winners.
That's a lot of money,
so
guys.
There's still a lot to do for them.
A lot of money, but those money won't be found today, not tomorrow either. It's going to be a little while. There's going to be a lot of info about the final dates for you guys. So follow on Twitter, follow all the places that you can, because you will not want to miss this. We are going to be done for now. There will be more PUBG tomorrow and the day after as well. The Wingman series are getting closed up. We've reached the finals, and I am super excited to see who's going to win the duo. So guys, on behalf of me, Saint, Hayes, all of the guys here in Stockholm, see you guys tomorrow.